When most real estate agents decide, hey, I'm going to form a team, they have a pretty big vision in their head of what they want that team to look like. Now, it might be agent count. They might want 5 to 10 or more agents on their team. They might have a certain idea in their head of what they're trying to do. And when I say fail, I don't mean that the team ceases to exist, but the person that had that idea in their head, I'm going to build a real estate team to build my business, and it's going to do all these great things for me. When I say fail, I mean that person has given up on doing that. All right, everybody, welcome back to Agent Investor, the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster. And if you're like me, if you're a real estate agent who's getting sick and tired of working nights and weekends, sick and tired of not knowing how much income you're going to have each and every month, sick and tired of letting the ebbs and flows of the market control your business, you've come to the right place. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that is actually extremely important for real estate agents, especially ones that are starting to become successful and they're looking for what is my next thing? What is the next evolution in my business? And we're going to talk today about why I don't necessarily recommend forming a team and why most real estate teams fail. Now, I have to really emphasize the point here. When I say most real estate teams fail, I am defining most. I'm not defining all. I'm not saying that you can't find a real estate team out there that's very successful, or a real estate agent that is a team leader that's very happy that they formed a team. And when I say fail and when I say most, I want to define that a little bit. When I say most real estate teams fail, I would say 9 out of 10 teams that are formed fail. And I also want to define failure. When I say that a real estate team fails, I mean that the person that formed the team or the team leader has kind of given up on growing the team. You see, when most real estate agents decide, hey, I'm going to form a team, they have a pretty big vision in their head of what they want that team to look like. Now, it might be agent count. They might want 5 to 10 or more agents on their team. They might have a certain idea in their head of what they're trying to do. And when I say fail, I don't mean that the name of the team doesn't exist or that even the team um, ceases to exist, but that team leader, the person that had that idea in their head, I'm going to build a real estate team to build my business, and it's going to do all these great things for me. When I say fail, I mean that person has given up on doing that. Okay. Again, they might have the logo, they might have the website, they may have an agent or two still on their team or an admin on their team, but in general, they've given up. Again, 90% of all teams, by my definition, fail. So first I want to talk about, why teams form anyways. I mean, why would a real estate team, why would a successful real estate agent say, you know what? I don't want to just sell real estate on my own. I want to have a minimum of one real estate agent underneath me, if not more. I want to build out a team. There are a bunch of reasons why real estate agents get that idea in their head. So, first and foremost, one of the reasons why real estate agents get the idea in their head that they need to build a team is simply because they want to continue growing. Right? As a real estate agent myself, as somebody who has grown my own real estate business myself, my own sales business myself, in a lot of cases, you get to kind of like a point where you're maxed out yourself, where you're selling, a certain amount of homes, and maybe you've sold that certain number of homes, year over year for a couple years in a row, 2, 3, 4 years in a row. And you say, oh, I've kind of hit a ceiling. So maybe forming 18 will help me get there. Another reason why teams can be formed is that real estate agents get sick and tired of working nights and weekends and, working with clients that maybe they don't want to work with anymore. And the idea gets into their head, well, if I build this team, Maybe I can leverage my time. Maybe I can have, somebody on my team who works my open houses or does showings for me or allows me to hand them off, clients in areas maybe I don't want to go or buyers that I'm maybe not wanting to work with anymore. Another reason, yet another reason why real estate agents who start to become successful, build teams is because they want to have a business. When I say that, I don't mean that, a solo agent doesn't have a business because they do. But when I say that a lot of agents who become successful want to own a business, they want something that kind of operates and works without them having to actually do all the heavy lifting, without them having to go on all the listing appointments and buyer appointments and the showings and the open houses, etc. And again, like I stated in the very beginning part of this discussion, there are real estate teams and real estate team leaders that have achieved that. There are real estate team leaders who have formed teams that have made more money by forming a team. There are real estate team leaders that have formed teams that have allowed them to grow a business, leverage out their time, and have much more of a business per se than a solo agent. But again, that is by easily 10% or less of all real estate teams that form. And again, this is coming from a perspective of a broker owner, which I am, of over 400 agents in the New England area, and also studying teams, right? Because we don't just, look at what our own agents are doing. We also look at what's going on in the industry. We also notice when an agent who maybe we're trying to recruit to come over to our brokerage forms a team. And I've been doing this for almost 20 years. So we kind of see the evolution of how things happen. And we've also had countless recruiting appointments where we talk to somebody who is thinking about starting a team. So we know the motivation. We've also had countless recruiting meetings where we've talked to agents who have had teams for a while. And they've told us the pluses and the minuses and whether they're still trying to build that team or not. Okay. So the thought of, wanting to build a team is not a bad thing. The actual origins of it, of realizing that, hey, maybe I don't always want to work nights and weekends. Maybe I do want to build a business that doesn't just rely on myself. Maybe I do want to make more money. Maybe I do want to teach and train people. Those are all really, really good thoughts. So the thoughts themselves about why somebody would want to build a team make a whole heck of a lot of sense. However, why 90% or more teams fail is generally not because of the person who forms the team, although it can be their fault. But in many cases, it's actually the model itself, right? And you guys hear me talk all the time about the agent investor model, what that model looks like, why I believe in that model. And one of the reasons I believe so much in that model is because the odds are stacked in your favor, right? High level agent investor model, sell real estate for a living, go out and find fix and flip deals that are going to provide you with big chunks of income. And step number 3, invest those big chunks of income into passive assets that are going to pay you forever. By following that model, you're going to give yourself a very high probability of success. You're going to be swimming with the tide instead of having a 90% failure rate when it comes to forming a team and building a team. So let's talk about the obstacles that come about when it comes to building a team and why most team leaders end up giving up on that dream of building a team, why it's not a great business model, right? So let's just talk about some of those reasons why, for most agents, I don't recommend building teams. Okay. Reason number 1 is that if you're building a team, you have to become a recruiter, right? So agents, whether we like it or not, I'm a broker owner. I hate when agents leave my company, right? It's a really frustrating thing to spend all the time bringing somebody in, teaching them, training them, and then they leave. But that's just the nature of the business. So what you find out when you're a team leader and you're building a team is you have to start recruiting. Now, Some agents hate the idea of recruiting and they don't even understand that if you're going to build a team, you need to recruit. And some don't mind it, but regardless, you've got to carve out time each and every week to recruit. So it's adding another sale kind of into your business, right? Something, another task into your business that needs to be done. And in and of itself, a lot of team leaders realize that they don't like recruiting. They don't want to recruit. They'd rather just sell houses. And that can be one of the reasons in and of itself that a team fails, right? A team leader may bring on an agent or two. Those agents eventually leave. If they haven't been recruiting, their team is going to go to nothing. Okay. The second reason why teams fail, like why the model itself generally doesn't work, is because if you actually think about like why agents leave, it makes a lot of sense as to why once you spend all that time recruiting an agent into your team, why that agent would actually leave, right? So let's think about kind of like why most agents would even join a team. Like, why not just join a brokerage? Well, in a lot of cases, that agent who forms the team, they're typically a successful agent, and they're attractive to work with, right? The brokerage provides some services to help an agent grow their business, but an individual agent who's a team leader can provide direct one-on-one mentorship with a very successful agent. In some cases, they can provide leads. In some cases, they can provide other opportunities for agents. So it can be very attractive. And typically speaking, if you're building a team, the type of agent that's going to be attracted to working on your team in general is going to typically be a newer agent. Okay. So you're a newer agent and you join a team, you're going to get less of a split than if you're going to work just at a brokerage. So you're taking a little bit of a pay cut. But the thought is that by working with a successful agent, that you're going to build your business. Now, from the successful agent point of view, one of two things is going to happen when you bring a new agent onto your team, right? Either option A, you bring the new agent onto your team and they never sell a house. And you took time to recruit them. You took time to mentor them. You took time to bring them to your open houses. You took time to train them. And then they never sell a house. And then within a brief period of time, call it 3, 6, 9, 12 months, that new agent that you brought onto your team that never sold a house ends up saying to you, "Hey, Tom, I really love being a part of your team. I really love the idea of being a real estate agent, but I just can't afford to be a real estate agent anymore. I haven't sold any houses. I'm sorry. Thank you very much." And they're now not on your team. Or that person continues to be on your team and they never sell a house. And option number two, and this is just generally what happens, and this happens far less. Most of the time you take a new agent on your team, they're really not going to get off the ground because most real estate agents fail. I know we all know this. Option number two is you bring an agent on your team and they start producing. And you're teaching them, you're training them, you're mentoring them, and they're hitting the ground running and they're doing awesome. And you're like, wow, this is exactly why I built a team. This is rewarding. I can see myself scaling this team. And then all of a sudden that agent asks you for a meeting and they say, "Hey, Tom, I want to thank you, so very much for being a part of your team. I really didn't know what I was doing before I joined your team. But now that I've been on your team for a while, I get it. I understand like how to become a successful agent because of you. And I want to thank you, but I want to go on my own." And the reason that agent generally wants to go on their own is because they're going to get an automatic pay raise by leading your team. So again, when I talk about swimming against the tide, right? Obviously, you recruit an agent to your team. They never sell a house. Even if you just spent the time filling out paperwork for them to join your team, you just lost money, right? So as a successful agent, which most team leaders or successful agents or are successful agents, you don't like getting your time wasted, right? So every time you bring on an agent that doesn't produce, you're like, geez, why did I do that? I had to personally take the time, energy, and effort into doing this, okay? Or you go the other way, right? And the other way really hurts more, where you actually mentor and foster an agent, and then they become successful, and now all of a sudden they're gone. And you're like, I cannot believe. I mean, the feelings are always the same if you're recently starting a team, where it hurts. You help train and mentor and teach that agent. And as soon as they started making money, started making you money, started making them money, they're gone. Okay. And again, these two types of agents are very, very common, right? It is very uncommon for somebody to join a team, an agent to join a team and stay on that team long term, which goes back to like my point number one about why it's hard and what you need to be doing to continue to have a team. You always need to be recruiting, because you always have to fill that backfill of agents that are going to leave. And it doesn't matter what team we're talking about. And I've studied this. I had my own team. It doesn't matter what team you have. You're always going to have agents leaving. Right? That's every brokerage. That's every team. That's just a fact. So you always have to be recruiting, right? So some people, when they start a team, they recruit, they have some agents leave, they either go one of two ways at that point. They either say, hey, I'm going to double down on this, and I'm going to realize, okay, I could have recruited more. I could have, retained better. I could have done more things to keep those agents. Or, if this is 6 months or 12 months into somebody building a team, they do what I said earlier, which is like they typically don't shut down their team. They don't get rid of their name. They don't get rid of their website. But they just aren't focused on it anymore. Because again, getting back to like, why do agents form teams in the beginning? They want to make more money. They want to get more of their time back, right? And what I've just expressed happens 9 out of 10 cases is that the team leaders are actually making less money. Why are they making less money? They're making less money because they're spending time doing things that aren't producing for themselves, right? So their sales take a hit. Right. That's one of the things that most people don't realize, is that when most successful agents build a team, their sales themselves actually decrease because they're spending time recruiting and mentoring and training and coaching. Right. That's just very common. Right. And then they also have less freedom. They think they're going to have more freedom when they're building a team. But guess what? Now you're not just answering to yourself. Now you've got somebody who needs help. You've got somebody writing up an offer. You've got somebody managing a listing that needs your help. And they're going to go to you directly, if they're on your team. So, I'm going to kind of stop there with, expressing why 90% of all real estate teams fail. There's other reasons why they fail and why you're swimming against the tide. But I want to say one more thing, which is, again, what most people don't do and what I strongly would advocate anybody who's thinking about joining a team do, which is to talk to 5 to 10 current agents that have teams or who have had teams and ask them how it's going. Ask them if they would reform the team over again. Ask them what the pros and cons are of having that team and whether or not, again, they would do it again or how they might do it differently. Because one thing that I've made a mistake on in my career is not really studying what the most common outcome is before doing something. Just getting all excited and being like, hey, I'm going to form a team. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do that. Without realizing, oh, geez, like I only had a very small percentage chance of being successful. So I shouldn't have actually spent my time there. Okay. And again, to be clear, I'm not anti-team per se, but what I am is I am pro investing, because in most cases, what people want out of building a team is actually easier gotten through investing, right? So when we say swim against the tide, like you're building a team, you're taking time out of your day to recruit, train, mentor, coach, and then you're usually not making money. It's the exact opposite when you follow the agent investor model, right? If you focus on your own sales, right? Not anybody else's sales, you make as much money as you possibly can in your own sales to pay your bills. And then you keep an eye open for great flip opportunities. Again, there's 3 steps in the agent investor model. Step 1, sell for a living. Step two, get the training needed in order to find great flip opportunities that you either do yourself or you partner with us where we put up the money, we do the construction, we split the profits 50-50. And then you invest those big chunks of income into passive assets. Whether you own the assets, you invest in syndications, whatever it is, that is swimming with the tide. And that is something, by the way, that anybody can do because there's a lot of other problems when it comes to forming and managing a team, right? Forming and managing a team, like you're managing personalities. Like when you're a solo agent and you're only answering to yourself and it's just you, that is a much different skill needed than if you're building a team and now you have a transaction coordinator, an admin, you have 5 agents that all need your help at the same time, right? So it's actually a different business. Not saying it's a worse business per se, but some people don't have those skills that are necessary to succeed. Whereas, again, following the agent investor model, number one, sell for a living. Number two, find fix and flip deals. And number three, just invest that capital into passive assets. Anybody can do it, right? Any agent can do that. And again, how can they do it, right? So again, step number one, focus on selling yourself. You already know how to do that, right? So I don't really need to extrapolate. I don't need to go into more detail there. Step number two, get the training necessary in order to find fix and flip opportunities. Some of you are already going to find fix and flip opportunities by accident. Some of you might need training, or you definitely would benefit from training, even if you already get opportunities. If you're interested in getting that free training, go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Every week, I host a live session that teaches agents about our agent investor partnership opportunities, how to find those deals. And it's really going to give you guys what you need in order to follow step number two. And then step number three is once you get that big chunk of income, again, our average partnership deal to date makes about $80,000, which means we're cutting checks on average for $40,000 to real estate agents that refer us a deal. Once you get that $40,000, you can do whatever you want with it. But again, if we're talking about like how to solve these problems that real estate agents have, you can either choose to buy an asset, use that money as a down payment, or invest in other people's syndications like ours and earn passive income each and every month, earn $500 or $600 or $700 a month, which is what you would earn if you invested passively with us or somebody like us. Okay. So again, let's go back to kind of like the root of the problem, the idea that people get in their heads, etc. When real estate agents start to become successful and they start to make money, they're thinking, how do I make more money? How do I get out of the day-to-day in my business? How do I scale? All that stuff. Those are great thoughts to have. And my whole thing that I'm talking about today is that in general, in most cases, building a team won't get you there. And in 9 out of 10 cases, most agents who have those ideas in their head want to make more money. I want to scale. I want to have more time. I don't want to work weekends anymore. I don't want to work with bad clients anymore, which are all like normal thoughts to have. Usually building a team won't get you there. Whereas with investing, you can see how easy it is to get there, right? When you're building a team, you also have to learn all these new skills. We talked about recruiting, retention. How do you build training systems? How do you keep agents? All that stuff, right? Whereas you're following the agent investor model, you're selling for a living. You're just learning how to find fix and flip opportunities that will teach you how to do. You would come across those in your day-to-day anyways. We're not talking about spending an extraordinary amount of time, this time it takes to really try to build a team. And then you're investing passively into assets, which is really going to solve all of your problems, right? When you have $5 or $10 or $15 or $20,000 a month of passive income coming in, now you don't have to work nights and weekends anymore. Now you can work with the clients who make the most sense to work with. Now you're not worrying about what's going on in the market, right? So again, happy to kind of like always talk about, what my experience has been with building teams myself. I put a lot of time, effort, and energy into it myself. I had a buyer team, at my brokerage. I've done a lot of things just myself, right? All of the stuff I talked about earlier about how difficult it is to build a team, I experienced it. And for those of you who know kind of like what I've done on the investing side, like I've fixed and flipped over 1,000 homes. I built a pretty big rental property portfolio, built apartment buildings. Like I've done a lot. And I can tell you that by comparison to building a team's way harder. It's just way harder. And I'm telling you this from my own experience. And I feel like, very capable of building a team. Like I think in my head, I can build a team. But then when you actually go out and you do it, you just struggle. I could tell you 1,000,001 stories of like the buyer agent team that I had in my company. And like I did everything to provide people with leads and get people to pick up the phone and just all this stuff, and just never worked. I was personally never able to turn a profit. And when I say that, I don't mean I broke even. I actually lost money because I was spending money on leads, spending money on sales managers to manage these leads. So it's not a route I would go down. I'm happy, guys, to share. Like if you're thinking about building a team right now and you haven't started yet, I said reach out to 5 people or more who have done it in the past or who do it. Reach out to me too. Like I'm happy to share, more in-depth stories with you. Best way to do that is to follow me on my personal Facebook account and send me a message on Facebook. And you can do that at Tommy Caffarella. So Tommy, and then my last name, Caffarella, and reach out to me. And if you're thinking about building a team, tell me what you're thinking about doing, and I could probably give you some solid advice for free. I'm happy to do that. At the end of the day, like I mentioned a lot, like how we spend our time dictates what our net worth is going to be, dictates what our success is going to be. And I've done a lot of things in my, business life since, the 20 years I've been building a business. It has not worked out. It has been a waste of time. And building a team for me was a complete waste of time, even though I had a lot of resources in order to do it. So I hope that, this stuff, resonates with you guys. I do know that there are some successful teams out there. I do also know that there are some teams out there that look successful. They have a lot of agents, but the reality is that the team leader's not making a bunch of money or is not happy. That's another thing that most people don't think about. They look and they see a photo with a ton of agents in it, and they're like, wow, that team is successful. Well, don't automatically assume that that's the case. So I'm not trying to scare anybody to build a team. All I'm saying is if you're thinking about building a team, put some good thought into it, talk to a bunch of people, and consider investing, right? Because it's going to be easier. It's going to build your net worth faster, and you're going to deal with far less headache. So if you are interested in learning more about the agent investor model, where we teach real estate agents how to invest without, you don't need any capital in order to invest, right? We teach agents how to invest with no capital. The biggest example of that is our partnership program. Hey, you find a deal, we're putting up the money, we're doing the construction, then we're splitting the profits 50-50. If you want to learn how to invest, jump on that next call with me at www.partnerwithagенtinvestor.com. And again, if you guys have any questions about forming a team, follow me on Facebook at Tommy Caffarella. Send me a DM. Happy to go into more detail about some of my experiences to help anybody, do the right thing. Well, when I say the right thing for you. And if that means you end up forming a team, so be it. But at least you'll go into it with a more kind of educated stance. So I hope that this was valuable for you guys. The reason I did it is because I see a lot of people forming teams, and I kind of know typically how it's going to go, and just wanted to put this out there to help some people. All right, guys, thank you. Again, jump on my next call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com.